What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I want to talk about the top 3 things every CLA or A45 owner should consider, because in my opinion those 3 things are the best things I've done to my CLA45 AMG. So let's hop in this car and talk about it. Those 3 things are, to me personally, the best things I've done to this car. Stock wise they're amazing, but the first one is probably stock, and I would recommend everyone who has an A45 CLA45 AMG to make sure that you have the Dunlop RT2 Max tires, because I've never had a problem with those tires. The best tires in sun, winter, rain, any weather condition, your traction will always be there. So those Dunlop RT2 tires, definitely recommended. And if you don't have it, I recommend you put them on, especially when you need to change, because honestly guys, you know, I've never ever experienced any tire like this. And on my C63 I have Michelin Pilot Sports, and you know what, okay, those are not all weather tires. The Michelin Pilot Sports are more sport summer tires that this car is wearing now, that perform so good in the summer and winter and rainy days like today. So it's an all-around win-win. Not only that, they're not too expensive, they're priced quite well, and I'm just sipping on my pre-workout because, well, obviously we're going into another lockdown this week in the UK and gyms have to close. I don't think, if you ask me, I think it's very silly, but I'm not going to go into political stuff and all of that. I just know one thing: in my local gym where I go, people do actually take precautions. Everything is sanitized, everyone cleans stuff, and I think it's very important for physical and mental health. So I don't agree with the gym closures, but I guess the people who come up with these regulations and laws and closures, they don't do exercise. I mean, you can see how they all look, all these MPs, but let's not go into that. Now, the second thing that I've done to this car, and it changed the whole dynamic of this car, and that's, like, if you want to take it a step a little bit further than stock, is an exhaust system. Now, the exhaust I have is not too expensive. When I say not too expensive, it doesn't cost thousands like some exhausts out there cost 3 grand, 4 grand. Well, depends really on the car. Of course, if you have a Ferrari, they'll charge you 10 grand, because if you can have a Ferrari, you can pay 10 grand for an exhaust, right? That's how it works. Not really sure it works that way, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say. This exhaust I have is a Miltec exhaust, and I wish I would get sponsored and I wouldn't have to pay this money, but I paid, well, I can't remember exact price, but it costs around £1,300 for the valved one I have, which I prefer the valved one because obviously now the valves are closed. It sounds just like before, no extra noise, no drone, nothing. Just need that. But the minute I want it to be fun, I just press the button in sport, valves open up, pops and bangs, the tone, everything is just so much louder. It just brings this car so much more to life, and it makes me feel like I'm driving a fun car. You know, sometimes I can feel like, before I would feel like sometimes it feels a bit boring. Not boring, but it can feel better, and this is exactly what the exhaust did. So yeah, that's definitely something else you should consider if you want to go up to that level, like make it a bit more fun and I would say a bit more entertaining. So exhaust system is definitely something you should look into. And if you want to hear how this exhaust sounds, check the video over here. I'll leave here. I've done a video with a whole bunch of exhaust sounds from this car. So that's number 2. The third thing is a remap, a custom remap. Now, remaps is a very big industry, let's say that, and I've just done a regular stage 1 remap, and remaps could add from 30 to 60 horsepower. It really depends on mods, other mods you have on the car, and a whole bunch of other things where you do it. And some, let's be honest, some numbers, sometimes companies claim higher numbers than others, so it's hard to know exactly unless the car's been dynoed. But on average, a regular stage 1 remap should get you at least 30 to 40 horsepower, and that's a nice feeling difference, guys. It just makes it so much more fun, especially with an exhaust system. So yeah, that's something I would consider if I wouldn't have it. Like, you know, anyone who has a A45, and yes, we are driving fast cars as they are. Just getting into this car park. So of course these cars are very fast the way they are stock from factory, but you know how it goes. We always want to add power and make it even better. So a remap stage 1 is definitely something I would recommend. And guys, you know, some people are worried with remaps that don't want to kill the engine or gearbox or overdo it, and I totally understand with that, especially if you're driving a expensive car. You don't want to kill it and you don't want to start paying big bills. But in my opinion, if you do it at a well-known place, someone who's got a bit of experience and knows what they're doing, and on top of that, if you don't go too crazy, like a stage 1 is like the starter one. You know, if you go for stage 2, stage 3, of course eventually you're gonna have problems with this, with that. You know, as long as you don't overdo it, I think you'll be fine. Also, as long as you don't abuse the car. You know, you want to look after your car as well. Even though it's got more power, you want to make sure you service it properly all the time. If you do that, you should be fine. Now, of course, anything can happen, anything can go wrong. That can happen with any car, even if it's stock. So, you know, this is just what I think, and those 3 things really made this car so much better than stock. I mean, when I bought the stock, it was so good the way it was, but I just, over time, like most of us, want to kind of, you know, you feel like you get a bit used to the power and all that. You just want to kind of make things a little bit more crazier, and I guess that's what I did. And you know what, those are the 3 things. I've done a couple of other stuff around the car, but those 3 things are probably the number 1. You know, especially as I said, first thing, the tires. Guys, tires are number 1, because if you don't have good tires, doesn't matter how much power you're pushing, you're not going to put the power down properly, and the traction, you'll suffer with that. So, you know, tires is the only thing that is really connected to the road. You can have all this aero, all this kind of engine performance, but if your tires are not on point, it's useless. So tires are number 1. I think these Dunlop tires come from factory on these cars, but I'm not too sure. As far as I understood, they do. So if your car doesn't have it, you better look into it. But anyways guys, please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye now.